Welcome, everyone, to an All Sports Culture 2022 NFL mock draft. It's me, Sam, your draft guru, back at it again. I haven't been able to do as much draft work as I have been able to in the past. We are in the midst of March Madness, and I hope it's going well for all of you. Kurt has been killing it with the March Madness videos. But today, it's about the draft. We are 1 month away from the NFL draft, and I needed to get a mock draft out there, at least one. I'm going to hope to do one more right before the draft happens. So today, I just wanted to give out my takes, kind of throw them into the void. There's no good quarterbacks in this draft. Not particularly impressed with any of them. This whole draft is really dominated by really good players. There's a lot of really good talent in this draft. It's a very deep draft, but man, you are not getting any real blue chip talent. A lot of teams have already moved their first round picks. Let's get started with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are a bad team, and their offseason has been interesting. I've liked some moves they've made, but I also have hated some moves that they've made. I mean, Christian Kirk, most notably. For me, with the Jaguars, it's mainly just pick the best player available. And I do think Kyle Hamilton is the best player in this draft class, but you're not going to take a safety first overall. That's just not going to happen. I personally would take Kayvon Thobodeaux, the edge rusher out of Oregon, for them. Build a formidable duo with Josh Allen. Kayvon or Aidan, you can really go either or. I would prefer Kayvon. I think Kayvon just has the higher ceiling between the two. I think he's more athletically dominant, and he's got such a rare blend of speed and power with his bend. The whole thing with him maybe not being committed to the sport is so stupid. Some football players just play for the money. Do you blame them? No, because they want to get paid millions of dollars. I got no concern about him going first overall. Him maybe mixing in Jacksonville, if those concerns are true, maybe isn't the best fit, but I still think he's the best option here for the Jaguars at first overall pick. Then you have the Detroit Lions here at number 2, and trust me, the thought has crossed my mind of taking Evan Neal here to play him at guard and then just make the best offensive line in the NFL. They're going to take Aidan Hutchinson. They're going to keep him in Michigan. Aidan had a Heisman-level season. I mean, during the season, you can go to our podcast, Highlighted. I had the take that Aidan has a very strong case to win Heisman. I thought he had a top 3 case easily. He was ridiculous last year, and I was a big fan of that Michigan team. Aidan's going to stay in Michigan here. Detroit really needs just players and talent, and you could argue you got the best player in the draft here. On to the Texans. Texans just pick best player. This mock draft is going to be kind of a blend of what I would do, but setting my expectations as realistic. Houston, they're not going to go Kyle Hamilton here. They're going to go with the best tackle on the board to help whoever their future quarterback is, whether that's Davis Mills or they're going to get in the Bryce Young sweepstakes next year, helping them out by taking Evan Neal out of Alabama. Just a great tackle prospect, exactly what you would want. He's not as good of a prospect as Rashawn Slater or Penei Sewell were from last year. Damn close. He is excellent player. And I think the Texans would be stupid not to take one of these 3 players that are listed in the first 3 picks here. Then you have the New York Jets. And the Jets are missing out on Aidan Hutchinson and Kayvon Thobodeaux, which kind of sucks because I would freaking love either of those guys in Robert Saleh's defense, but sadly they do not go here. But the Jets here, there's really only 2 options, I think, and that's going to be tackle or receiver. I don't think Kyle Hamilton again. Corner, I mean, you could go Sauce Gardner here this high or Derek Stingley, but I'm not too crazy about taking a corner at this high of a pick unless it's a Jalen Ramsey-esque player. So I'm just going to take Ikem Ekwonu, play alongside Mekhi Becton, but just help out Zach Wilson all you can. Ikem Ekwonu, safe pick here at number 4. New York Giants. This is tough because I feel like the Giants are just in a weird situation where they just got to take the best player available, but also not overdo it. And at 5th overall, like, this pick is going to set the draft a lot because the first 4 picks of this draft are pretty much set in stone about which players are going to be them. I'm pretty confident these 4 players right here are going to go in the top 5. The only one that I could see falling out is probably Thibodeaux. But with the Giants, they need tackle. they just got to shore up this offensive line. So Charles Cross makes a lot of sense here, so I'm going to do that for them and screw over the Panthers, who at number 6 are now in, they're in a tough situation because I don't love the options on the board for them. I mean, there's no tackle here that I really love. I mean, Trevor Penning's the next best thing. Like I said, with quarterback, I would not take a quarterback here. And there is a guard that I love that could go in the top 10 potentially, but I don't want to overdo it. And I think they've done a pretty decent job filling in the interior of their offensive line with signings like Bradley Bozeman and Austin Corbett. This is like worst case scenario for them. I mean, I would not take Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett. I think they might take Kenny Pickett, honestly, at 6 because they got the Temple connection with Matt Rule. But, God, this if you're a quarterback, you don't want to go to this team. This is just a lame duck situation. This coaching staff is not going to be here past a year because this team is so poorly run. Okay, you know what? Since I'm not doing trades, I don't love doing this. I mean, I think Trevor Penning's a good player, but I would not take him this high. But I really have no other option. Yeah, I'm going to take Trevor Penning. I'm going to do it. They need tackle really desperately, and I'm not taking a quarterback this high. It's just not happening. With the New York Giants at pick 7, edge rusher is a need. It's definitely a need, and safety is also up there as well. If David Ajabo didn't tear his Achilles, I would be all over taking him at 7. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to take Kyle Hamilton. I think he's the best player in this draft, regardless of positional value. I think it's absolutely worth the selection here at number 7 for the Giants because you can just throw him anywhere on that defense and it will work out. Oh, the Atlanta Falcons, man. This team is going to be fucking terrible. They are absolutely going to be in on the quarterback sweepstakes next year, and this team's just going to suck. They're going to straight up be bad, and it's going to be embarrassing to watch. So for me, it's taking the best player available. That's pretty much it. Or you trade down here. But I look at this receiver room and I absolutely just throw up because it's terrible. I mean, there's no Calvin Ridley. All you have really there, I mean, you had Russell Gage leave to the Buccaneers. So you got nothing. You absolutely have nothing. You need a receiver in this room. So I'm going to take probably the best receiver in the class, regardless of health, because this team can afford to wait on a receiver and wait on their health because this team is going to suck and they're just going to help out their next quarterback. So I'm going to take Jamison Williams out of Alabama. Let him rest for the year. I mean, you can afford to do that. I think he is a true talent. And if he is healthy, he's the best receiver in the class. But ACL and all, that hurts him, but the Falcons can afford to take him and take on that burden of letting him nurse back to health because you have Marcus Mariota throwing the football next year. You really can't do much next year. You're not going to be a good team, so might as well just embrace it. Take a possible top 5 pick in this draft had he been healthy and run with it at pick 8. Seattle Seahawks. This team also is going to be very bad next year. They do have more players than the Falcons, I will say that, but I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I don't think they will. I think they just need to take players and just fill out this roster because the Seahawks have had this problem of having really good top tier talent and then just shit for the rest of their team. So take the best corner, probably, or the best edge rusher, because there's no tackles here that I like. I mean, I already overdrafted Trevor Penning. So I'm going to take my favorite corner in the class, which is going to be Derek Stingley Jr. I think he has the athletic traits to become one of the premier corners in the NFL. I think people are overreacting a little bit to his subsequent seasons. That first season showed me everything I needed to know. This guy is a stud. Number 10 overall, we got the New York Jets, and I don't love the edge options here. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton already went, and they took Ikem Ekwonu at 4th overall, and you're kind of just deciding here, do you want to help Zach Wilson with a weapon, Or do you want to shore up that secondary and get another corner in this group? This is a deep receiver class. It is. But I think there's going to be a run on receivers late in this draft. I think teams like New England, Green Bay, Pittsburgh is a sleeper team, Philadelphia, New Orleans, LA, the Chargers could be one. The Bills could maybe get in there. The Titans could get in there. The Chiefs. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could take a receiver in this draft. And I think the Jets would be wise to get their guy out of the way right now. And personally, I think Garrett Wilson gives you exactly what they want. He can be that X receiver that can do just about everything. He can play all over the formation, run any route. He can give you everything you need. You already got Elijah Moore, who can be your speed option with the ball in his hands. He can create. Get yourself a Garrett Wilson who can just operate everywhere around the field and be the number one go-to option for Zach Wilson. I would really love this pick for the Jets. That really sucks for the Commanders because they're here at number 11 and they were hoping for Garrett Wilson because this receiver room has been a joke since Terry McLaurin has gotten there. I mean, Curtis Samuel can't play a snap, so they need a receiver. And I don't really love taking a receiver at 11 that isn't Garrett Wilson. For them. I mean, I freaking love Chris Olave. Chris Olave is my passion. He's one of my favorite players in the draft, but I don't know about pick 11 for him. He does fit exactly what they need, though, with that number 2 deep option. And I think he could definitely fill in the role here. But I'm actually not going to go that way. I'm going to go Sauce Gardner because this corner room is gross. It absolutely needs work. And Sauce Gardner, tremendous option here. And I think it would be a great selection here by the football team, also known as the Commanders now. Minnesota Vikings. What do I do with you? You are a peculiar case because your team kind of in a good spot. I think you've done some good moves this offseason. You're obviously signing Zadarius Smith. I thought that's a great signing. I love Danielle Hunter. They brought in a replacement for Michael Pierce. And this group is a good group. It's just a matter of this corner room is still bad, and they just need to add some sort of presence on the D-line also in conjunction. I don't think receiver is out of the question for the Vikings, though. Or they could go for a long-term edge. I don't really think they would take another offensive lineman. They have invested heavily on that in recent years. So I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to go with Travon Walker. I think the fall ends here for Travon Walker. Athletic specimen. And you know the Vikings love their freak athletes at edge rusher. I mean, see Danielle Hunter and get Travon Walker in there behind those two guys. You got a freaking tandem right there. And if Zadarius Smith's contract doesn't work out, it's basically a one-year deal. You can cut him and then move Travon Walker up there. It'd work out really well. And you could put Travon Walker anywhere on the D-line and make it work. So really would like this pick for them. And the Texans are not happy about that because they wanted Travon Walker at number 13 because obviously they went with Evan Neal earlier in the draft. They need an edge rusher so freaking bad. And I think there's a pretty clear selection here, and that's going to be George Karlaftis. I like his fit in the Lovie Smith defense. I personally like Karlaftis a little more than Travon Walker, but the thing is, Travon Walker just has that athletic gifts that I think the Vikings would covet a lot more. Now you got the Ravens. This is the easiest pick of the draft for me. Like I said, David Ojabo would be a damn near top 10 pick for me if he didn't tear his Achilles. I freaking love David Ojabo, but that's not going to be the case here because of that, sadly enough. But the Ravens, man, their defensive line is rough. I know they brought back Michael Pierce, but obviously he didn't play the past 2 years. So they need defensive line help, like really bad. And Jordan Davis is sitting right there. He's exactly what they need. And I think just a run stuffing, nose, 3-tech, whatever you want him to be, he can work. And yeah, that's the pick there. I think that's just a seamless fit. Philadelphia Eagles here at number 15. And this is pretty plain and simple. Zion Johnson. Yeah. help the interior of that offensive line. You got your tackles situation figured out. Jason Kelsey, we don't know how much longer he'll be playing. He's coming back for one more year. But once he's done, you got to kick Landon Dickerson back inside. And I freaking loved Landon Dickerson last year. He was a top 10 caliber player for me had he not been injured a lot. I really am high on him at center long term. Zion Johnson is another guy that I am extremely high on. I think you put him in Philadelphia, that offensive line will continue to be a strength for that team. So that pick would be amazing for them if that were to be the case. And then they're back up again at 16. I don't like this corner room one bit. So I'm looking at Andrew Booth or Kyer Elam. One of those guys I think would be a good selection here. I'm going to go with Booth. I just think they need a corner in this group, and that is the obvious selection here. And then you got the Chargers, who a lot of people are just penciling in Jordan Davis for this selection. And honestly, I think that's completely warranted and understandable because they need defensive line help. But they have added to that group. They signed Sebastian Joseph Day, and they also added that guy from the Giants. So they've done work on this defensive line, and obviously signing Khalil Mack, who's one of the best edge setters in the league. So I don't think defensive line is a foregone conclusion for this team. I think you can go offensive line or receiver and then take a Travis Jones in the second round or something of that sort. But obviously Jordan Davis is off the board. And I honestly think tackle is a lot more of a bigger need now because they cut Brian Bulaga and they haven't really done anything to replace him. And also right guard is a big concern. So you could go with the Kenyon Green here. I don't love him this high. I don't like him at tackle. I think he's going to be a great guard, but I don't love him at tackle. At A&M, play tackle, he wasn't very good, and then they switched him to guard, and he was excellent, and their offense started really going off once he switched to guard. So I don't like him at tackle in the league, and I don't think the Chargers would do that. And like I said, there's really no tackles that I would love taking here at 17. I mean, Trevor Penning would be this guy in this range. That leaves defensive line and then linebacker. I mean, this linebacker room is gross. Tough to decide what's going to happen. But I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and give them a beast of an interior defensive lineman. And that's going to be Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia. Wyatt gives you a lot of pass rush ability. He will feast with this current group. I mean, Sebastian Joseph Day on the interior with him, and then also Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on the outside. Like, that's going to be a great group. So Devontae Wyatt would be an awesome pick here for the Chargers. New Orleans Saints. This is pretty plain and simple for me. They need receiver. They just need it. They need it bad. I am sick of them kind of just sitting there with Michael Thomas not playing and them not doing anything about it. I mean, their quarterbacks had no help last year, like whatsoever. I mean, no one really criticized their receiver situation because it was probably the worst in the league last year. This is a bad group, and I'm just going to fix it for them. We're hoping that, obviously, Michael Thomas comes back and plays this year, but it still looks like there's some butting heads there with the organization. So we don't know how that's going to turn out, but I think he will be back. So let's give Jameis Winston a receiver that would fit his skill set. And that's going to be Chris Olave. Obviously, you love his deep ability, his speed that Jameis Winston can unlock for Chris Olave. I mean, I love that fit between them. And obviously, there's the pipeline there with New Orleans and Ohio State. So they're obviously going to be infatuated with Chris Olave. I wouldn't be shocked if they tried and made a move to trade up for Garrett Wilson as well. So Chris Olave here at 18. Really would like this pick for the Saints. Philadelphia Eagles. We're sitting here at 19, and I'm not really concerned about their edge group. They've got Sweat, they've got Barnett back, and they signed Hassan Reddick. They don't need to take an edge rusher. I think they're pretty set there. The receivers, not really feeling any of them for the Eagles. They do need a commander of that defense. At linebacker, I mean, you did get Kaiser White, which is a nice signing. Singleton is gone. I'm going to go with Devin Lloyd out of Utah. I think he's the best linebacker in this class. Talk about a 3-down linebacker. He can do anything for you against the run and the pass. I think this would just be a solid pick for the Eagles and pretty pretty cut and dry. I think this would be a good selection. And I will note, if the Chargers would have taken Devin Lloyd at 17, like I was thinking, I would have definitely had Devontae Wyatt to the Eagles at 19, but obviously that is not the case. So we're going to go to the Steelers at 20, and this is where I start thinking about quarterback because, Jesus, they need a quarterback. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, yeah, I mean, you signed him to a 2-year deal, but are you really feeling strongly about him that long term? So I'm thinking about quarterback here. I actually think Malik Willis in this situation would be really good. And I think him sitting behind Trubisky for a year, maybe two, would be very valuable to him. And also working with Mike Tomlin, I think this would be a good landing spot for him. So I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to take Malik Willis at number 20 for the Steelers. I think this is the perfect landing spot for him out of all the options, and this one will probably be the most likely to succeed for him. New England Patriots at number 21. I'm thinking corner here because you're letting J.C. Jackson walk, and I'm not feeling too great about that. It's just kind of a weird situation. Usually when Belichick lets someone walk, he's right. So J.C. Jackson leaving, that's a big hole to fill, and they need a corner. So I'm looking right at freaking Kaiir Elam. I think he's the last corner available that is worth a first-round pick, really. All these other guys really don't infatuate me. So I think Kaiir Elam, he brings size and physicality to the position. Obviously, New England, they love playing man coverage. Kaiir Elam is not afraid to get in a guy's face. He will do that, and I think New England is going to like that. So I'm going to take him at 21. Green Bay at number 22, and obviously they got this pick from the Davante Adams trade. And if you guys remember, Packers fan here, go listen to our podcast if you want my reaction to the Adams trade. But obviously, they lost Davante Adams. They traded him for this pick and a second-round pick. And then they also lost Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So they at receiver right now are Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Amari Rodgers. They got no one. So really, they need to take a receiver this high, because if you're trying to appease Aaron Rodgers and win with Aaron Rodgers, you have got to get a good receiving core going right now. They desperately need it, like so bad. I think it'd be a travesty if they did take a receiver with one of these first two picks. I wouldn't be devastated if they didn't take one at 22, but if they didn't take one with either of those two, jeez, that would be rough. So obviously, I'm going receiver here because there's no tackle here that I like taking at 22. And the edge rushers, I mean, Jermaine Johnson, yeah, I would love Jermaine Johnson here. I would like David Ojabo. I mean, either of those guys would be good here. But when you're trying to help the MVP, the back-to-back MVP, an edge rusher isn't going to do that. They already re-signed Preston Smith, and they got Rashawn Gary. So they can wait on edge a little bit. So receiver, that is the big need here, because if you look at the Packers roster, they don't really have any huge needs for this upcoming season other than receiver. And they might need a little help on the right side of the offensive line, but that's really it. That's the only thing that they really need help on aside from receiver for this year alone. I'm just specifying this year. We can talk about long-term stuff all we want, but receiver is the number one need when it comes to long-term and short-term help. Green Bay has needed a receiver in this offense that can get you yards after the catch. They have needed that for so long, and they never have gotten one while they've had Matt LaFleur head coach. They just haven't. So there's a guy on the board that I think is very clearly the most perfect fit for this team, and he can give them something that they have not had in this offense yet. And that's going to be Treylon Burks from Arkansas. Some people are afraid of Treylon Burks because he ran a 4.6 at the combine out of a 3-point stance. Let me tell you guys, if you watch the tape, this dude gets above 20 miles per hour so often. I mean, I am not concerned about this guy's speed. His game speed says enough. If you look back in the history of receivers, I mean, Cooper Kupp and Davante Adams both ran like 4.5s and 4.6s at the combine, and they're both top 3 receivers in the NFL. I'm not too worried about it. When they're running out of a 2-point stance, it's very different. And Treylon Burks, I saw it in game. That dude has speed. And he also is built like a Mack truck, and he has dudes bounce off of him all the freaking time. And they need someone who can get yards after the catch, who can just be a big body to get the ball and create yards. And he can give them something over the middle of the field, because their only really middle of the field option was Devontae Adams, and they need another one and to fill that void. And Treylon Burks is exactly that. And I would really like them to trade up for Treylon Burks, because he is exactly what they need. I think this would be an excellent selection by the Packers. At number 23, we have the Arizona Cardinals. You lose Christian Kirk to an absolute bag, so I'm not going to bring that up. But they need edge. I mean, they lost Chandler Jones, so Jermaine Johnson's sitting there. I think the fall is going to end now, so they're going to take him. Athletic freak. Not as crazy about him as others are. I know some people are saying he's a top 10 pick. I'm not going to go that crazy, but I think he's definitely worth a first rounder. So here at 23, definitely a valid selection. Then you get the Cowboys at 24. This is pretty easy. They get a safety. I mean, I love Daxton Hill. I think he is the perfect deep field safety for anyone looking for one other than Kyle Hamilton. I think he's worth a top 20 pick, in all honesty. I think he's that good, but he's not going to go top 20. But he is an excellent selection here. I think a team would be smart to take him. Dallas, there you go. Give Dan Quinn more help. Next up, Buffalo. There's no corners here that I like. I'm not big on Trent McDuffie. I think he's too small. So that really takes me to offensive line help. And I'm looking here, and I see this guy, Kenyon Green. I think you can play him at either guard position and make it work. I think this would be a great selection for the Bills. Protect Josh Allen. Number one priority. Going to be a good selection here. And if you need him to play tackle, you can do that. Wouldn't advise you to, but it's certainly an option. Tennessee Titans at number 26. I'm going to help your offensive line, and that's going to be Tyler Smith out of Tulsa, who can play either position for you, which is going to be guard or tackle. I think this would be an excellent selection here at number 26 for the Titans. Give you a versatile piece along that offensive line, and just make this group hum even better. Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at number 27, and I really don't understand why receiver is listed number one on their needs, because you've got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Russell Gage locked up, so you don't really need that. And I'm looking at corner. They need to fill the void of corner, because, I mean, obviously right now you got Carlton Davis re-signed, but then you have Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean. They're both going to be free agents after next year. You're going to lose one of them. You're just going to. And this is where I'm going to stop the fall of Trent McDuffie. Just take him. Don't think twice about it. His tape is really good. I don't know how he'll hold up against the NFL, but if you're going to throw him in a group with two of those three guys I just listed, I think he'll succeed. I just don't love him as a number one option, but if you throw him in a group with those three guys, I think he'd be a great selection here. Kind of do what you did with last year with Joe Tryon. Take the guy to replace a guy that you're going to lose in the future. That's exactly what's going to happen here with Trent McDuffie. At number 28, Green Bay is back on the board, and I'm really thinking here. There's no tackles here I like, and I would take Linderbaum, but the thing is, they just took their center last year in Josh Myers. I don't really know if I like Josh Myers at guard, and Linderbaum, I think, only can play center. I really do. I don't think he'll play anywhere other than that in the league. This would be the offense to play him in. Even though I think Linderbaum is a top-tier player in this draft, his fit in any of these teams is weird because you have to play him at center. And Green Bay doesn't have an opening there. They just used a second-round pick last year on a guy that showed promise at center, so I'm not going to do that. No tackles. I would consider Tyler Smith. I personally don't think tackle is as pressing of a need for the Packers as others do. I think they're playing Elton Jenkins there long-term. I really do. Already showed that he can play tackle, and he's going to want tackle money. So play him at tackle, because either you're just admitting that you're going to let him walk in free agency, because if you're going to play him at guard long term, he's just going to leave to get tackle money, and someone's going to pay him to be a tackle, because he's shown he can be a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. So play him at right tackle. Just do it. I think they should just commit to it at this point because you already know you got a great tackle. And I'm not concerned with their ability to get guys that are good on the interior. So honestly, if they were going to take an offensive lineman, I think they would take a guard, like a Tyler Smith or a Kenyon Green. I definitely think is an option here at 28 for them. And if a guy like Zion Johnson was at 22, I think they would pounce on that opportunity. But with this pick, I'm really looking at two spots. I'm looking at defensive line, or actually three spots: defensive line, receiver, and edge rusher. One of those three. Defensive lineman, there's really no one here that I love, and they need to win now. They just need to win now. I might double dip at receiver here. I really might. What receivers are available? Oh, wow. Okay, well, Drake London's available, and yeah, I'm going to double dip. Get yourself Drake London in this receiving group. Have him be your big body contested catch winner, because I think he will succeed with an elite quarterback and just play with a top tier quarterback. That'll be when he's at his best. And that's with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers would be that perfect quarterback for Drake London. And I think Green Bay is actually going to really like Drake London. So with them double dipping at receiver, which I think is a good idea, because if you're not going to sign a veteran, you gotta use 2 of your 4 top 60 picks on receiver. Drake London and Treylon Burks would be a home run. I think that'd be a great getaway, because they give you 2 really different skill sets, and I think that'd be really valuable for them. And then you got the Chiefs at number 29. I'm also going to take a receiver, and the receiving group here, their receivers aren't bad. They've got Juju, who can play in the slot, and they've got MVS and Mecole. So those are your 2 speed options. They really just need a guy that can operate with route running, and I know they still want them to have speed. So Jahan Dotson, excellent route runner. I think this is a guy that the Chiefs would really like. This would be their true Tyreek Hill replacement. I know they drafted Mecole a few years back because they were afraid Tyreek might not play. But Jahan Dotson really fits that role. He's a good route runner, has good speed. I think this would be a good selection. I think this is one of the big links that I see in the draft, other than Jameson Williams to the Chiefs, obviously. And then here at 30, I would pick corner, but there's really no corners I like here, so I'm not going to go a corner. Is there an edge rusher? Yes, there is. So I'm just going to bite the bullet and have the Chiefs take David Ojabo. He needs to go in the first round. He just needs to. And the Chiefs would not be dumb to take David Ojabo. They can afford to have him wait a year. They can afford it. This team is going to be good for a long time, and potentially getting a Pro Bowl edge just by waiting 1 year, it's worth it. I think he's a top 10 caliber player when healthy. And it sucks that he got hurt, because I think this really hurt his draft stock, because the Chiefs aren't on a timetable like the Packers are. The Chiefs got all the time in the world. So David Ojabo to the Chiefs would be a great pick. Then you got the Bengals. I think this is easy. Tyler Linderbaum, absolutely seamless scheme fit. I think you can plug and play him right at center day one. Get him acclimated with Joe Burrow. Your new offensive line is Jonah Williams, Ted Karras, Tyler Linderbaum, Alex Kappa, and Lyle Collins. That group is excellent. Joe Burrow would be freaking dancing in the pocket all day long with that group. I would love that if the Bengals did this. I would love if they traded up for Linderbaum. I don't know how you guys feel about trading up for a center, but I think this would be a great pick. And then lastly, at 32 with the Lions, they can really do anything. They have all the options in the world here. George Pickens, I think, would be a great pick. I really like George Pickens, by the way. I just don't like... I would have taken him for the Chiefs, but the thing is, I don't love his fit there with MVS there. I think Jahan Dotson gives them more of what they want. But I'm just going to give them the linebacker of their defense to kind of command it. That's going to be Nakobe Dean. I think that's just the easy pick here. And one that I think they would actually make, because their linebacking group is gross. So, yeah, here's the whole draft. want to look back on it. I'm excited for the draft. We are 1 month away. It's been a lot of chaos already with this NFL offseason, so I hope you guys have been enjoying and that you guys stick around for more draft content coming in the future. Probably only really going to be one mock draft, but we'll see. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Be sure to check out our podcast highlighted on all podcast platforms. It's been me, Sam, with All Sports Culture, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.